Hey guys, so remember this is a completely unbiased review because I have not read the book, so please no spoilers, and if you guys ask me questions and I don't know the answer, it's probably because you guys read the books and I haven't. So, that too. Hey, what's up guys? It's Sher and I am Shadowhunters Trash, and this episode quenched every single one of my thirst. I got everything I wanted, even the angelic room on my titties like Isabelle. Okay, so this episode honestly was really good. Like, I have absolutely nothing negative to say. It was really nice. It was really, like, smooth. It was, like, smooth, if that makes sense at all. Okay, anyway. So this episode starts off with Clary talking to Jace, because I'm pretty sure that's how all of these episodes start at this point. She's talking to Jace, and she's telling him about how she saw Valentine in her necklace when she was, like, looking for her mom. Obviously, her mom is alive but unconscious, and she's telling Jace, and Alec overhears, and he's like, "Oh, so he can see you in the Institute? This isn't safe. Give it to me so I can inspect it." And, like, Jace is, like, in the corner looking like an angry boyfriend, and he hands it over, and then Alec goes, "Finally, it's in the right hands." And he takes it, and he, like, basically runs away. And they follow him, and she's like, "Alec, give it back! Alec, give it back!" Da 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 da. And he doesn't give it back because he's like, "That's not safe. It's not a safe thing for us to have. I don't want Valentine being able to see us." And that's actually very smart, because if it works that way, maybe it could work another. If he's actually, like, talking to her and communicating with her, obviously he could see her, which means he could probably see the Institute. And overall, Alec was actually really smart about that. So A+ for you, Alec. And so Alec puts it away, and he's like, "Don't touch it, Clary. I know you. Don't touch it." And so Clary storms off in her angry redheaded fashion, and Isabelle finds her, and she's like, "I heard about what happened. Are you okay?" And one thing I love is girls protecting each other, girls talking to each other, girls loving each other, and just being friends. I absolutely love friendship, and to see them communicate, and Isabelle was like, "You know, tell me all about your mom. I want to hear about her," and making Clary feel comfortable. And that's one thing that Clary probably doesn't feel, just because of the fact she's in such a different situation than anything she's ever been in before. And then along with that, she also hasn't been talking to Simon. You know Simon's her rock. That's her best friend. So I think it's really nice for her to have some more, like, positive energy from Isabelle, because Isabelle was being so incredibly sweet to her, and I'm just like, yes, girls protecting girls, girls being friends. This is what we need in, like, this. This makes me feel good. Okay, so the episode moves on, and as the girls are walking, probably to go see Jace or to talk more and to giggle, you know how girls do, they run into her mom, and not Clary's mom, Isabelle's mama. And I was like, yo, okay, family, okay, this is cool, give me more, let's see what's happening. Turns out her mama is a crazy wild bitch, and I was just like, okay, you can get the fuck out now, you can go. Who are you coming up in here disrespecting people? She was being so rude to Isabelle. Like, okay, so they walk up to her, and she's like, "Oh, Mom, I didn't know you were here." And she's like, "Obviously, dressed to impress, I see." Basically saying that she looked like a whore. And then she was also saying, "I see you were in our family heirlooms." Do you know what she went through to get that necklace? To be with that necklace? To have that necklace around her neck? Anyway, so we end up, and then, oh, and another thing, I'm so sick of people trying to tell Clary what her name is. If she says her name is Clary Frey, don't be trying to correct her. Clary Fairchild. Bitch, have you seen her birth certificate? Do you know her life story? No, you knew her mama. You don't know her. And it was obvious that Clary was born after her mama left the clave or whatever. So stop trying to comfort her. Stop trying to correct her on what her name is. Like, get out of my face. Anyway, it's obvious that Isabelle and her mama got some issues, because Isabelle says, you know, our family isn't really big on hugging, or Shadowhunters don't hug, or something along those lines. And then her mom seriously hugs Jace. Like, Jace is her joy and pride. And I'm like, this isn't even your blood. You gonna treat your blood like crap, but then you're gonna hug Jace. I get it. Jace was looking good while he was swinging his glow-in-the-dark sword, giving me life and stuff. But that's why you treating him better than you treating your actual blood. And then Alec come in the room and he's like, hey mama, didn't know you were coming. And then she's like, you should always be prepared, even if you don't know I'm coming. And I'm like, how the hell he's supposed to be prepared for you to return to him when he don't even know you coming? Oh, and turns out she was in like a different country, in a hidden shadow world country with their other brother Max. I'm like, who is Max? I am so confused. They got a whole bunch of other family that we don't know about, and I'm just waiting to figure them out and to find out who they are. Basically, their mom is like the head bitch in town. She is obviously running things. So once all of them are there together, she's basically giving off orders. And she's like, the fairies aren't speaking to us anymore. The fae? I think they're called the fae. The fae aren't speaking to us anymore and we need to find out why. And then Isabelle's like, oh, I know fae. I can, you know, get some answers or whatever. And then she's like, I know about your fairy friends. And I was like, bitch, just because she's sleeping with them don't mean that she can't get information. If that's what you want to do to find out what you want to do, Isabelle, continue on. Be the goddess you are. Love yourself and your body. Don't ever let anyone tell you, you know, just because you're doing something that might be sleazy to other people, if it's not sleazy to you, do whatever the hell you want. And not only am I saying this to Isabelle, but I'm saying it to all of you too. You want to go out there and be a hoe? Be a hoe. Like, that pisses me off. Let people do what they want with their own self and their own body. Okay? But anyway, and then she also splits up the twins. I know they're not actually twins, Alec and Isabelle, but like, I feel like they're twins. I get that vibe, you know? Like, they're super close, so I call them twins. But, yeah, she separates them and she's basically like, Alec, you can't go with her. I'd rather have Jace go with her. And it's obvious that Jace is her favorite. And I feel like Jace is only her favorite because it's not her blood. Like, I don't know why she's acting like that. I don't know why she's being, like, so hardcore. Like, she's acting like she is just head bitch and they are those rude kids in the back of the classroom disrespecting the teacher. And Jace is the golden boy that gives her apples on Fridays. Like, I don't understand. She's just being so extra. So incredibly extra, and I'm just not here for it. But basically, she's like, Jace and Isabelle go see the fae, and then Alec and Clary have to stay together because she does not trust Clary because, you know, she was getting them in all that trouble with the clave, trying to find her mom and Dot and all of that craziness. Basically, the two end up sticking together, and he's like, I'm gonna teach you some self-defense, and then Clary goes, don't act so upset, you get to kick my ass. And he's like, yes I do. And I'm like, yes, beat her down. I don't know why I like seeing her in pain, but like, I don't know, I have like this taste for Clary. But this isn't new for me. I usually dislike the main characters in shows. I don't know why. I don't know if it has something to do with me or just like something to do with just Clary as like who she is or whatever, but I really don't like her. They're sparring or whatever, and Clary has like this plan in mind, and she's like, I'm gonna get him to not follow the rules. I think I know something that can help me and my mom and everybody. And there's like this little box that she looks at her mom, and like she looks at it once a year and she like cries, and I'm like, okay, that is really dramatic. I think we all need to like chill out for a minute. But she ends up telling them that her mom has this box that she like open every year and like cry into or something, and they should go to the loft and find it. Alec is like, absolutely not, that is so stupid, we are meant to stay here. And then he gets a phone call, and it's from his future boyfriend Magnus. Okay, so I think everyone knows that him and Magnus are gonna get together. Like, I'm pretty sure this is a thing, and I found out that episode 12 is actually going to be called Malik, and that's their ship name. So I was like, holy fucking shit, this is serious, this is real, shit's gonna go down. So he gets this phone call, right, and he's like, hello, who is this? And he's like, Alexander, this is Magnus, you know, we met the other day with the demon. And he's like, oh, yeah, Hey, what's up? How much you want to bet Isabelle gave him that number? I feel like Isabelle and Magnus had a conversation and she was like, call him when you get a chance. Call him maybe. Yeah, I know it was Isabelle. I know it. I got the strongest vibe that it was Isabelle. So they go ahead and they have their conversation, and Magnus ends up asking him out for drinks. And what surprises me more than anything is that Alec actually says yes. From the first episode that we see with Alec, you know, coming into terms with his sexuality and things, it was obvious that he was scared and he didn't want everyone to know that he was in love with Jace and Jace was male, and that whole shindig went down. So I was really surprised that he actually said, sure, yeah, when? And I was like, holy shit, this is actually happening. Like, holy shizzballs, I did not expect this. And so they go ahead and they're talking, and he's like, how about now? Let's just go right now. Let's go out for drinks. And he's like, actually I can't right now because Clary has run off. She just freaking disappeared. I don't know where she went. Alec has to hang up and he runs after Clary because Clary is gone. So Alec ends up finding her where she's at, like, the art school that she actually got into in the first episode. He finds her sitting there and she's looking all melodramatic, and then her phone goes off, and it's like she used an angelic rune, so everyone hears the phone going off, but they don't see her, so it's like really interesting. And then Alec makes fun of her. He's like, you use an invisibility rune, but you don't turn off your phone. Ha 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 ha. And I was like, dude, don't make me punch you in the face. That was petty. That was petty. And it was definitely something I would do. And that's why I got mad. Simon ends up calling Clary because apparently he's out and about too, you know, living his life or whatever. When he went to go see Camille, the other vampire guy that was in the room with them, you know, it was Camille and then like her henchman and Simon. He shows up and he's like, what are you doing here? If you know what's good for you, you'll leave. Da 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 da. And he like was like like, that was like vampire terms for go away, and like Simon ran off or whatever because he's a little punk. And so now he's calling Clary finally, and he's like, I'm sorry we had a fight and all that stuff, so everything's good. And she's telling him, oh, you know, I'm not at the church, I'm actually out right now, we're going to the loft. And he's like, why are you going to the loft? That's not smart, let me come with you, da 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 da. And Alec is like, absolutely not, no, we're not doing this now. And she's like, psych, and she lets it happen. She tells them where they're going and everything, and they meet up at like the secret hideaway passion thing, I don't know, and they go into this story about like how this is how they grew up and stuff, and no one will be able to find them because no one knows about the secret passageway. And that might very well be true. Simon may be resourceful. He is more than just a silly mundane. I'm pretty sure he's a vampire. Like, it hasn't been said, but like this dude can now run really fast. He's super strong. He's stronger than Clary, but I mean that's not much. And he's just like, oh, I just have a cold. I'm like, how do you run this fast because you have a cold? That don't make no damn sense. He's literally like, oh, I have a cold, and then he breaks a door open. How do those two... Whatever. So yeah, they end up getting into the house, and they find the box that Clary was talking about that her mom had, and she opens it up, and she has no idea what all the stuff is inside. And, you know, they're wondering, you know, what's going on? Is this actually going to be useful? Da 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 da. And then they all hear a really strange noise. So Alec, being the person he is, he's like, I'm going to go check the perimeter. You guys stay here. Don't move, but get your stuff together because we're about to leave. I'm just going to, you know, check, make sure everything is good and safe. And while he's checking, somehow, some way, Simon and Clary get arrested. And they get arrested by Luke's friend. Okay, so I'm really bad with names, so I have no idea what his name is. The reason they got kidnapped, though, is because they believe that Clary knows where the cup is. The famous mortal cup that everybody's after. And the werewolves feel like the Shadowhunters don't deserve it because they are attacking each other and fighting each other over petty things, and the vampires are like stupid, they don't deserve it either, but the werewolves are a family and they love each other, therefore they deserve the mortal cup. And I'm like, okay, sure, what are y'all even gonna do with the mortal cup? From what I know, the mortal cup can make more Shadowhunters. I don't know what that can do, what that can like correlate with the werewolves, but they want it. And I think they just want the power, to be honest. I think everyone's just power hungry. I feel like no one has an actual reason to want the cup. I feel like there has to be something that the cup can do for each version of the Downworlders, but I don't know what it is. I have no idea like why they want it all so badly, except power. Like that's like the only thing that kind of makes sense to me. Like that's gotta be it. So basically he says the people who kidnapped them end up telling Clary, you know what, you tell us where the cup is or Simon's gonna die. And they like take Simon into like the back of a Chinese restaurant. This is like their like lair. They hang out in a Chinese restaurant. They take him to the back, right? And they're handcuffed and he's being like pushed around and stuff, and Clary's like, of course, Simon! Simon! Simon, no! Simon! But the thing is, she doesn't get up from her chair. She talk about how she is so upset that they're gonna take away Simon and that she can't see him no more. She's screaming his name, but she don't get up from the chair. Okay, so when we see Simon again, it turns out he's also being hung upside down again, because that's what they like to do to Simon. They like to hang him upside down. I don't know what that means. I feel like it means something in this show. When they hang somebody upside down, and he's like, this again? And like he breaks the handcuffs, and these are legit handcuffs. These aren't like the sexy time handcuffs. These are legit handcuffs from a cop, and he just breaks them right open, and then he's able to unflip himself upside down, and somehow, some way, he still has his phone, which is wonderful, and he ends up calling Clary's phone because Jace has Clary's phone, because he found out that Clary and Simon got arrested because Alec told him or something, and he showed up and he's like super pissed off at Alec, and I'm like, you guys are really disconnected right now. I need you guys to get back into friendship, back in love. Like I need y'all to be happy with each other. And I think it has a lot to do with like Alec, like from Alec's side of the puzzle, just because of the fact that Jay saw that photo of him or whatever, and that's his most precious person and he loves him. And they did talk about it, and they did kind of like ease it over. And Jace kind of said, of course you love me, you know, we're bros, like, we've been friends for such a long time, and we're connected, we're like, what is the thing called? Pabalati or whatever? They're bound to each other. He's like, we're bound to each other, dude, of course you love me, of course I'm your most important person, you know, but obviously that's not what Alec meant by that being the most important person or whatever, but, you know, things happen, and he kind of lets it go. But you can tell he's still kind of like anxious about it. You can even tell in the way like he touches him. He can't even make eye contact with Jace because of the whole situation, and he feels bad. And he was saying, you have every right to be mad at me. Like he's expecting the worst because he thinks everyone knows how he feels. And surprisingly, the only person who put it together besides Isabelle, but Isabelle obviously knew, was Clary. And Clary was actually like, yeah, it probably sucks that you're in love with him, and, you know, he's straight and you're obviously not. That's gotta be awkward. And I can't believe Clary actually has the balls to say that to him. I was really surprised he didn't knock her upside the head, because I would have been like, if it was me in that situation, I'd be like, say that shit again, I'm gonna knock your ass out. It would have been over. She would have been unconscious on the ground. And instead, he actually gets kind of like cocky, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And like, it was his way of reflecting. I was like, that's not how an actual person would react to that. I think that might have been just like bad writing, because no person who's been in the closet and has kind of like that self-hate and that self-loathing would react like that. You don't know what you're talking about. No. It would have been such a bad reaction. Like, it would have either came out as violence, as fear, or like crying and screaming. It would not have been that simple and that like plain. Like, no. They obviously didn't talk to someone who's been in the closet before, because that's not how you act. Oh, so yeah. Simon breaks out of his handcuffs and he calls Clary's phone. And Jace answers it, and he tells them where they are, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm at this Chinese restaurant. Ooh, and they have really nice cocktails, and they're not that expensive. And I was like, dude, really? Jace ends up telling him while they're on the phone please find a way to distract the werewolves and we will get you out of here. And so he sets off the fire alarm to distract them, and you know, things happen, and Clary ended up telling them like where the cup was. She don't even know what the cup looked like. Like, she don't know where that cup is, but she told them basically what she found with Jace, the little box. She told him where the box was and not the cup, because she doesn't know where the cup is. So basically they put Clary in like a box, like this giant box thing, and they're like, stay here, while they like investigate like why the fire alarm went off, because they were obviously not gonna like give her up or anything. So they put her in this box, right, and she does a rune on the wall, and then suddenly there's light in the room, and she had that fancy rock that Jace gave her some episodes ago or whatever. And the thing opens up out of nowhere, and it's Luke, and he's like, I finally found you, Clary. And I'm like, can you unfind her, you creep? And basically she starts screaming at him, and she's like, you said you didn't love us, you said you didn't like my mom, da da da. And he's like, those were Valentine's people, I only said that so they wouldn't find you, and stuff like that. And she's obviously angry at him, and he like literally puts her over his shoulder, and he's like, you're coming with me, whether you like it or not. And so they're walking, and then out of nowhere he gets like punched in the face by Jace. Jace literally knocks him out, and he's like, because he's a werewolf, so he's obviously like thinking the worst, and he punches him, and then like she like somehow lands into Alec's arms after he got like punched out, and he's laying there unconscious, and then they're like, let's go, let's just leave the unconscious man on the ground. And I'm just like, at least they didn't kill him. So basically the whole crew is there, and they're all like surrounded by these werewolves, and it's obvious they're gonna die. And like the alpha, and he's got like the really big like spiky fur, and he's like, I'm coming for you. He's going nice and slow, and then he like jumps out of nowhere to like attack them and to like eat them. And then like Luke as a werewolf is like, bitch, you thought, and he like knocks him out. And he like, they go flying, and they're like fighting, and you can hear a lot of growling and whimpering, and then like he untransforms, and then you see like an unconscious man on the ground. Turns out he's dead, and Luke killed him, so Luke is now the alpha of his pack. And I was like, this feels like Teen Wolf, I gotta go. So yeah, and then suddenly that like brings back all of Clary's trust. And suddenly she's like, I should have never doubted you. Because not only in the fight did he kill the alpha almost killed him. So he's got all these like bite marks and scratches and stuff, and then he like falls out. He's basically unconscious. And they're like, the only person who can save him now is Magnus Bane. And I'm like, yes, Magnus, I can get some Alec in my life, yes. And so anyway, so they're like, yeah, we need to take him to Magnus, and this is where the real breakup happens. Jace and Alec like break up, like their friendship, I mean, and because Alec is telling him, we need to go back to the Institute so we don't get in any more trouble. She has brought us so much trouble, we need to go back and we need to handle our business, and we can deal with her later, we can deal with her another time. And he's like, they can very well get him to Magnus without us. Let's just go. And Jason's like, no, I'm gonna help Clary. And I'm like, your feelings are really getting in the way of this. And Alex says the same thing. He's like, stop being so emotionally invested in this girl you just met. Like, the fact that he's like going with this girl that he just met instead of Alec, who he's known for probably his entire life, it's just really like incredibly disrespectful, not only to Alec but also to Isabelle and to their whole family, because they're choosing this girl over family. And I'm like, that's just too much. And then Jace has the nerve to say something like, you know, you obviously don't realize the seriousness of the situation. And I'm like, he's the only one who's thinking clearly, because I would not have gone with Clary. Like, no, y'all can handle it, because Simon's gonna drive them to Magnus or whatever. Like, literally, you will be fine. And he ends up going with them, and Isabelle ends up asking her brother, are you guys alright? And then he's like, I don't know. And it felt like a breakup. It literally felt like a breakup. I could feel my heart breaking. I was like, I did not ask for this. I will not stand for this. I was, oh my god. We're not even going to talk about it anymore because it hurt my feelings. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to. Let's start a conversation. How did you guys feel about this episode? And also, who's your favorite character? Who's your fave? And, like, obviously my faves are, like, the Lightwoods. Those are my babies. I will love them till the end of time. So, who are your faves? And what did you guys like about this episode? What did you guys not like about this episode? You know what I really didn't like about this episode? How everybody's so stupid about Simon. Obviously, this boy got powers. He's talking about he got a cold, but he's running faster. He is stronger than ever before. But he got a cold. How y'all not putting two together? I don't understand. He was kidnapped by vampires. Y'all really not putting this together? They stupid. Okay, anyway. Bye!